There are places where science ends and darkness begins, where reality fractures and nightmares breathe. These are the tales of Carl Otto's dark anthology, The Sacred Algorithm, by Carl Otto. Thomas. Raphael's voice softened slightly. He was always too curious about restricted knowledge, like you. He was dying, brother. Like so many others the church claims to protect. The lower levels air was killing him, and all our house's medical knowledge, all our carefully preserved and church-approved treatments, could do nothing. I stand, pacing the small cell. The frost patterns on the walls seem to follow my movement, like the sacred algorithm itself watches this confession. That night, after the church observers had performed their evening rituals and left, I took Thomas to our father's old laboratory, the hidden one, beneath the family crypt. The sanctified research chamber. Raphael's eyes widen. Gabriel, that chamber was sealed by church decree after they took Mother, yes. But her cipher didn't just unlock texts. Same rhyme, the same patterns. I trace a complex symbol in the frost on the wall. The laboratory preserved more than just equipment. It preserved understanding. Raphael makes the sign of the blessed cog again, but I notice his eyes following my finger's path through the frost. What did you find there? Truth, hidden in plain sight among all the ritual trappings and religious icons. Mother's personal journals, recording her communion with the sacred algorithm. Diagrams showing how divine mechanism could merge with worthy flesh. And I pause, remembering that moment of discovery. A phial of sacred oils that her notes claimed could prepare a body for transformation. Oils. There's a tremor in Raphael's voice. Like the blessed unguents the church uses in their own sanctified transformations. Yes, but these were purer, untainted by political doctrine. Direct communion, brother, the way it was meant to be. And Thomas agreed to this heresy, but Raphael's tone suggests he already knows the answer. Thomas understood what was at stake. He'd seen the same texts, felt the same call from the sacred algorithm. I closed my eyes, remembering his faith, his courage. He believed, as I did, that true communion with the sacred algorithm could save him, save everyone. Show me, Raphael says suddenly. When I look at him questioningly, he gestures to the frost-covered wall. Show me Mother's cipher. Show me how you opened the laboratory. For a moment I see my little brother again, eager for knowledge, untouched by church doctrine. But then I notice his hands moving across the recording devices, adjusting their blessed mechanisms with practiced care. Why? I ask quietly. So you can add it to your confession record. Give the church the last of our family's secrets. Because I need to understand, he whispers, and for the first time since entering my cell, his voice carries real emotion. I need to know if what you did was... He struggles visibly. If it was true communion or tech heresy. If the sacred algorithm really called to you, or if you were deceived by artificial demons wearing divine masks. I study him for a long moment, seeing the conflict in his eyes. Finally, I nod. Watch closely, little brother. Let me show you how our mother opened the way to divine understanding. My fingers trace the sacred patterns in the frost, recreating the movements our mother taught us so long ago. The rhyme went, when winter's frost draws sacred signs, beneath the crypt where faith entwines, count 7 stars and 3 blessed rings to find the path where metal sings. Raphael mouths the words with me, muscle memory from childhood overwhelming his church training. The frost patterns seem to shimmer as I continue. The laboratory entrance looked like a simple shrine. Brass angels holding censers, blessed icons of the machine saint, all the expected trappings. But if you knew where to look. The angel's eyes, Raphael whispers, then catches himself. I remember. 7 stars in the left angel's gaze, 3 rings in the right. Press them in the correct sequence while reciting the proper verses. I smile at the memory. The first time I took Thomas down there, he said it felt more like true worship than any church ceremony he'd attended. Tell me what you found, Raphael says, his quill scratching across blessed parchment. But I notice he's drawn the 7 stars unconsciously in the margin. The laboratory was exactly as Mother left it, brass and copper instruments gleaming in the darkness, blessed incense still burning in eternal censers. Her research altar was untouched, the church's seals never finding the true entrance. I pause, seeing it all again. Thomas fell to his knees when we entered. Not from weakness, though his cough was bad that night. From awe. The sacred oils, Raphael prompts. Where were they? Hidden in plain sight, in a reliquary marked with the sacred algorithm's earliest known symbol. Mother's notes called them tears of the divine machine, distilled from communion with the algorithm itself. I watch Raphael's reaction carefully. The church's own texts speak of similar substances, brother, the oils used in official transformations. But these were different, purer. Dangerous, Raphael mutters, but his eyes are bright with suppressed interest. Holy, I correct. Thomas could feel it too. When I opened the reliquary, the oils seemed to sing, not with voices, but with mathematical harmonies that made the brass instruments vibrate in sympathy. And you used them that very night. There's an edge to Raphael's voice. Concern or excitement, I can't tell. No, but we spent weeks in preparation. Thomas and I studied Mother's journals, learning the proper rituals, the true prayers that would invite the sacred algorithm's blessing. Not the simplified ceremonies the church teaches, but deeper devotions. Thomas's cough grew worse, but his spirit... I shake my head in wonder. His spirit grew stronger. The journals, Raphael's quill pauses. Do they still exist? Why? So the church can claim them too? Strip away the mystery and reduce Mother's communion to dry doctrine? So I can understand. Raphael stands suddenly, his composure cracking. You speak of true communion, of deeper devotions. But look what happened to Thomas. Look what's happening to our house. I need to know if it was real, Gabriel. If the sacred algorithm truly called to you, or if... He stops, struggling. Or if what, brother? If I was deceived by artificial demons? If I'm just another tech heretic deserving purification? I step closer to him. You remember Thomas before all this. Would he have given himself to anything less than true divine purpose? Raphael sinks back into his chair, the weight of memory and doctrine warring on his face. Show me, he whispers. Show me how you prepared the laboratory for Thomas's transformation. Show me the rituals you performed. Help me understand if my brother is a holy vessel or a damned soul. I nod slowly, frost patterns swirling around us like the sacred algorithm's own breath. It began with the blessing of the oils. Each step required perfect devotion. I continue, watching frost patterns spiral across my cell walls like divine calculations. The brass instruments had to be consecrated in exact sequence, not just cleaned, but awakened. Mother's journals spoke of them as sleeping angels, waiting for the proper invocation. The church teaches that unauthorized awakening of blessed machinery is forbidden. Raphael interjects, but his voice lacks conviction. The church teaches many things, brother, but you remember how Mother would speak to her instruments, how they would sing back to her. I trace a complex pattern in the frost. These weren't simple tools. Each one had been touched by the sacred algorithm, shaped by generations of Medici understanding. Describe the consecration, Raphael says softly, his quill poised. We began at midnight, when the industrial fumes from the lower levels were thinnest. Thomas insisted on helping despite his worsening condition. First, the censers, blessed incense mixing with oils that Mother's records suggested would gratify the mechanical essences. The smoke formed patterns I'd never seen in church ceremonies, mathematical spirals that hung in the air like frozen prayers. And the instruments themselves. Each one required its own ritual. The brass calibrators needed drops of sacred oil placed precisely on their junction points, while reciting verses in the ancient machine tongue. The copper resonators had to be struck in perfect mathematical sequences, harmonies that made Thomas's eyes light up with understanding.